What's up guys, Nature Boy here. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing another video. We're going to be doing the top 10 strongest characters of all time. So on this channel we've already done the top 10 strongest characters alive. Today we're going to be going over alive or dead, everybody in their prime. The 10 strongest characters to ever exist in the story of One Piece. Now before we get deep into this video, there's two things I want to mention. First, there are certain characters that cannot be listed even if they are in the top 10 because they are impossible for me to skill right now. And I'm not just talking about featless, because I do have some characters that are featless on my actual list. However, I can base them off of portrayal and whatnot and find a right spot for them based on where I think they are. However, these characters include Imu, Kong, Zephyr, Joy Boy, as in the original Joy Boy, and Ryuma. For me, these five are most likely up there. However, they are just too difficult to scale. So for argument's sake, I'm going to leave them out of this list entirely. And second, I want to start off with three honorable mentions because for me, these three almost made the list. And if you had them in your list, I have absolutely no complaints about that. These are three of the strongest characters in One Piece history. And they are Kaido, King of the Beasts, Kozuki Oden, former Shogun of Wano, and of course the world's strongest swordsman, Dracula Mihawk. Now, the first few names on my list barely made it on the list when I had to scale them against these three because these three guys are also so strong. However, the other names on my list just edged out above them. So now to get into the official top 10 strongest One Piece characters of all time, in my opinion, of course. Starting at number 10, what better way to start than with our protagonist, Monkey D. Luffy. Monkey D. Luffy has been on an absolute roller coaster ride as of late. Coming into Wano, he was barely Yonko Commander 1 level, and leaving Wano, he is absolutely nothing short of Yonko level, if not even above that. He has gone through it all. He has unlocked his advanced haki, his armament haki, his advanced conquerors haki. His Devil Fruit awakening in Gear 5 has taken him to new heights that are unseen as of any character. It's only comparable to, in terms of feats that we've actually seen, Whitebeard at Marineford and Kaido in Wano. No one else have we actually seen feats from that were this impressive. So for me, I have him at number 10, and he's only climbing higher and higher each week with each chapter as we go. So he will be a lot higher than this sooner. Number 9, we have the father of Monkey D. Luffy. We have the revolutionary Monkey D. Dragon. Now, Monkey D. Dragon, again, how I mentioned, there are some characters who are featless, but I rank them based on portrayal. Monkey D. Dragon is a prime example of this. Now, we see the hype going on with Sabo in the latest chapter. We see the hype with the Revolutionary Army, the commanders. We know they are being built for endgame material, and the head of the table, the head of them all, is Monkey D. Dragon himself. Now, aside from this also, he is the father of Luffy, and we know how much that means in shonen and manga. He was introduced, I believe, within the first 50 chapters of the series in Logtown, and he is still being saved. We know how important that is as well. And for me, I have nothing but the highest of expectations for Dragon. I believe he is being saved for a reason, and when he fights, most likely for the first time in the final war, he is going to show all of us why he is the absolute tip top of strong individuals in this series. And if he has a Devil Fruit, maybe a Wind Logia or some kind of Dragon Devil Fruit or Weather, anything like that, I think most certainly he is going to be awakened, and we're going to see some of the best Devil Fruit feats from him if he has one. Moving on to number 8, and at number 8 I have Dark King Silvers Rayleigh. For me, Silvers Rayleigh is a character that we see a lot of him as he's old. But what we've seen from him is, you got to keep in mind, he's been retired for literally decades as a pirate. He's been just sitting in the bar with Shaki and just doing whatever he wants, having fun, drinking, and a completely rusty, unexpected, retired Rayleigh is able to hang with Kizaru without even breaking a sweat. No problem. And Kizaru was the one that was mad that he wasn't getting all of Rayleigh's attention, and Rayleigh wanted to fight him as well as save the Straw Hats. So we know how strong he is. Along with that, he is the vice captain of the Pirate King. Now, let me make one thing clear. There is a difference between a first Yonko commander and a vice captain. There is a certain level of portrayal that a vice captain gets, like Rayleigh, that a first Yonko commander, like a Marco or a Katakuri, do not get. A vice captain is often more compared to his captain than any other member of the pirate crew, and I don't think Rayleigh is any exception. So because of this, I scale him close to Roger, even if not hand in hand. He is absolutely comparable. He is the man that Roger handpicked to be his right-hand man in his journey to become Pirate King, and I think that says a lot about Rayleigh in his prime. Moving on to number 7, this one just made it above Rayleigh for me, and we are talking about red-haired Shanks. Now with Shanks, this is gonna cap off the current characters alive who are in their peak, because I personally believe he is the strongest character alive right now. So everyone coming after this will either be dead or past their prime and in old age. Now with Shanks, what is there to say? He has to be, for me, he's got to be one of the greatest hockey users of all time, probably the greatest Conqueror's hockey user. He was the one who introduced Conqueror's hockey to us in the series. He was introduced in chapter 1 and he is still being saved. This man just walked into Marineford with all the top tiers, Akainu, Blackbeard, Garb, Sengoku, everyone, and simply said, this war is over, and the war was over, just like that. He holds a strong presence in the world, in the new world especially, and he is feared or respected by absolutely everyone, to the point where even Kaido, who was recognized by most as the strongest, had Shanks in his top 5, and not only that, but Shanks was the only one alive, and he was amongst absolute legends. Rocks, Oden, Whitebeard, Roger, and Kaido saw him amongst these men. So for me, Shanks 7, bare minimum. Shanks is absolute top tier for me. Now moving on to number 6, we have Sengoku the Buddha. Of course, I'm talking about him in his prime, as he is older now. He was a former fleet admiral. He was an admiral back in Roger's day. This man clashed with Roger. He fought Shiki. He fought Whitebeard numerous times. Was alongside Garp. He is often compared to Garp in strength. Now we saw back in Oden's flashback, Roger by name mentioned only Sengoku and Garp as the two men who were capable of giving him a good challenge. So to be seen in the eyes of the Pirate King that highly says a lot about you. Now, lately in the story, we've gotten to see how important mythical Zoan Devil Fruits are, and he has one of the best mythical Zoan Devil Fruits. He has a Hito no Mi model Buddha, and because Marineford wasn't centered around him, we didn't get to see too much of it. However, I do believe he has one of the most OP Devil Fruits in this series, and in his prime, I can only imagine what he was able to do with the shockwaves and what else he could do with his fruit. So Sengoku at number 6 for me. At number 5, we have Yonko Buggy. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. At number 5, we have the Golden Lion Shiki. This is a controversial one because a lot of people think Shiki doesn't even belong in the top 10. A lot of people think Shiki was a fraud. He wasn't as strong as his comrades. To me, the way I see it, Shiki was a victim of drawing the shit end of the stick with the Rocks Pirates simply because the current storyline, he is not as important to the current storyline as a Kaido or a Big Mom. So because of this, Kaido and Big Mom got more hype now for themselves than he did, so that they could be seen as a bigger threat, so Wano can be interesting and Luffy can pass them. However, if we look at the actual feats and portrayal of Shiki in the past, I think we can all agree there is not many men that can fight a prime Garp and a prime Sengoku in a 2v1 and destroy half of Marineford before going down. Now, of course, I know his Devil Fruit specializes in destruction, but to even be able to get that much off and to fight these two men together, albeit he lost, is a very impressive feat. Now, because of this, because of his Devil Fruit and because he lost, this is why I don't have him above Garp, but I don't think if he was weaker than both Garp and Sengoku, that fight would have been interesting at all. So the fact that he could actually give them a fight, I think he's at least stronger than Sengoku. And speaking of Garp, here we have number 4, the hero of the Marines, Monkey D. Garp. What is there to say about Garp? Father of Monkey D. Dragon, grandfather of Monkey D. Luffy, one of the best characters in the series. He has the best portrayal of any Marine in history of One Piece. Better than Akainu, better than Sengoku, better than all of them. He could have easily been higher in the ranks had he not turned down the offers, but he didn't want to directly protect the Celestial Dragons. And we know now this is why he never became an admiral or a fleet admiral. What we also know now is that in God Valley, him and Roger were able to take down the entire Rocks pirates. Now, whether or not this was with Marines backing up Garp and with the Roger pirates backing up Roger, we do not know. But just the idea that they were able to take down a Prime Rocks, a Whitebeard, a Kaido, a Sengoku, a Shiki, a John, all of these names is extremely impressive. And all of this while not having a Devil Fruit. And the fact that he doesn't have a Devil Fruit tells me that he has to have probably the best armament Haki in the history of the series, or at least very, very high up there. Personally, I don't think anyone ever had better armament Haki than Garp. And we know how strong his fist is, especially when it's coated with love. So now we get into the top 3. This is where it gets interesting. At number 3, I have Rox D. Xebec. Yes, Rox himself at number 3. I know a lot of people think he is the strongest. However, here my issue with this is I believe in God Valley, the only person truly in their prime at that time, 38 years ago, was Rox himself. I don't believe Whitebeard, Roger, Garp, especially not Kaido and Big Mom were in their primes, and I think he was easily the strongest at that moment in Garp Valley. We know he was said to be Roger's greatest rival. We know he was the biggest threat to the world government and he wanted to take over the world to the point where they erased his name from history. But I think once his actual demise came and the years passed and a few decades went by, what some other pirates were able to do exceeded even the great potential that Rox himself had. And had he been alive when they were in their primes, I think they would have surpassed him. And of course, the 2 pirates I'm talking about are the 2 we're going to get into next. Starting with number 2, drumroll. Number 2, we have the Pirate King, the only man to achieve this title, Gol D. Roger. Gol D. Roger at number 2, the father of Ace, the man who started One Piece. On the scaffold, just before he gets executed, gives a great speech, gives the great quote, and sends an entire era of pirates, motivated pirates, to go out and find the treasure of One Piece. Now, if this was a list of inspirational pirates or great pirates, he would have been head and shoulders above everybody else ever in history. He is without a doubt the most influential pirate. But because this is based on strength, I believe he is also the peak of strength in One Piece. As we've seen, he was the one to introduce us to Advanced Conquerors Haki along with Whitebeard, where they'd clash and they didn't even touch swords. We know he was able to hang with the greatest. He beat Shiki and his entire fleet with one ship, albeit with the Storm. He was able to fight Rocks with Whitebeard, Garp. His list of accomplishments and his list of men that he has fought, it has exceeded anybody else in the story. And if there is one man that Luffy is trying to directly surpass to achieve his goal, it would be Gol D. Roger, as he is a former Pirate King. However, there was one man that was alive during his era that had the title of the world's strongest man, and that is, of course, at number 1, Whitebeard, Edward Newgate. To me, he is without a doubt the strongest character in the history of One Piece. Now, when you have an era of guys like Roger, like Rocks, like Shiki, like Garp, like Sengoku, and you hold the title of the world's strongest man, and when he shows us, it's one thing to have the title, but what he shows us at Marineford, what Oda does with Whitebeard at Marineford, is some of the greatest things we have ever seen in anime in terms of sheer resilience, strength, fortitude. He was 72 years old. He was practically on life support on his ship before arriving. He takes off all of his medical equipment. He has heart attacks. He's betrayed by a friend and stabbed in the back. And it almost seems like nothing can stop this man. We had great men, strong pirates like Blackbeard, Akainu, and all these men calling him a monster. Calling him just absolutely in shock of how this guy can still keep going. His endurance, his great physical strength, his devil fruit, the best devil fruit in the series in terms of strength, in my opinion, easily the most powerful. Garp himself has a strong level of respect for this man where he says, it's too late, we've already angered the king of the seas. And he was able to clash with Roger evenly. And I know a lot of people think he is one that's comparable to Roger, but to me, having the title of the world's strongest man and not going after the Pirate King title is the reason he is not seen in the One Piece world as being as big as Roger, because had Whitebeard wanted to become Pirate King, who's to say Roger would even accomplish it? Because if Whitebeard had that title, he could have easily been seen as like the greatest pirate of all time. So the way I see it, Roger is the greatest pirate of all time, and Whitebeard is the strongest pirate of all time. Although these two are easily interchangeable for me, I can't have Roger at number 1, but I can have him equal or just up there with Whitebeard, as I believe they are extremely close. But to me, Whitebeard is the man. He is the Chad of all Chads. His accomplishments, his feats at Marineford are still to this day leaving me just completely shocked how he's able to do any of that. I don't think personally that we've seen anything like what we saw from Whitebeard at Marineford. I don't think Kaido's performance in Wano was as impressive as a 72-year-old dying sick heart attack man at Marineford. And I think this is done because Oda is telling us that Whitebeard is the peak of strength, and he is the one to surpass in terms of strength if you want to be the strongest. That's the way I see it personally, at least. So that's going to be the video for today, guys. That's my top 10 strongest characters of all time. As Luffy gets stronger, I believe he will climb higher up in this list, so keep an eye out for Luffy. And if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, leave a comment down below. Let me know your top 10. Let me know what you would switch. If you're new to the channel, subscribe and click on the notification bell. And we'll have more videos coming out later this week. Thanks, guys, and have a good day.